Hello everyone and welcome to another video. So today's video is going to be my circle up, which covers the week of November 13th to November 19th. I'm going to start bringing these videos back. And each video we're going to talk about 3 books if I didn't manage to read a whole lot in the week. So there are going to be at least 3 book reviews in these videos. The one of the books that I read during that week will of course be covered. And then I have a ton of books which I never gave you guys book reviews for, at least from the beginning of September. So I'm going to try and include a review for those books in these videos. And I'm going to try to get these videos out for you guys within a timely manner. I don't know if I'm going to post them on the same day, but I'm going to at least get them out for you guys. So, the first book that we're going to talk about today is going to be The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. This is the first book in Joe Abercrombie's First Law trilogy. It is actually the first book that I read for the week. And so in this book we follow a barbarian named Logan Ninefingers, a nobleman named Captain Giselle Dan Luthar, and Inquisitor Glocta, who is a cripple turned torturer, and we also follow a wizard Baez, who could be classified as the first of the Magi. The tagline for the book is this: murders, conspiracies rise to the surface, old scores are ready to be settled, and the line between hero and villain is sharp enough to draw blood. I ended up giving this book a 3.5 out of 5 stars. And the reason why I didn't end up liking this story as much as I figured I would is I had heard from a couple other booktubers mentioned that at least this series with Joe Abercrombie, this is more so character driven. And yeah, this is a character driven high fantasy. And for me, when you think of high fantasy, you think plot driven. And this is character driven. And throughout the time of me reading this book, I could never pick up what was actually happening. And in your typical fantasy book, you can pick up what's happening because the plot moves from one to another. But because this is character driven, I could never really find where the plot was until we got to probably not only the last half, but maybe even the last 3/4. Up until that point, I could not tell you anything, and still even right now, I can't tell you what exactly happened in this book. And it's been a week since I've read it, so that's not good. I will probably be unhauling this copy. If I do decide to finish and continue with the series, I won't be reading it physically. If I continue, we will either get it off from the library so I don't have to own the physical copy, or I will probably read it on ebook. Probably how to do it. There is an audiobook for this, which I probably should have listened to while reading this story. Maybe I could have retained a little bit more attention as I would have been following along and listening to the audio at the same time. But it didn't really stand out to me as a high fantasy story. And what Joe Abercrombie is famous for, and with this series itself, is grimdark. And I couldn't pick that out either. And I've read other grimdark fantasy books, and I couldn't pick it out of this. This is, so far we've hit no grim dark yet. So I did like the writing style of the character Glocta. He was quite famous. He was quite my favorite. His writing style is really quirky and really funny, which is one of the writing styles I really like. Everyone else didn't have that funny writing style. So to me, reading this book was actually really boring. So 3.5 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read was Fairytales for Verania by TJ Klune. And you guys absolutely know that I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars. This is a short story collection that follows the characters from his Tales for Verania series. So, Sam Haversford, Ryan Foxhart, Tiggy, Gary, Kevin, they're all characters in this short story collection. There are 4 in this collection. Stories 1 through 3 are retellings of Rapunzel, which is the unicorn in the tower, Jack and the Beanstalk, which is Sam and the Beanstalk, and Cinderella, which is the good boy. The last story is the only canon and true story, which is David's Dragon. I'm not going to go ahead and give you guys a synopsis for the short story collection since I gave you the list of the retellings you can sort of figure it out. And you can even sort of figure out from the title, the main synopsis, or at least the backbone for the story. So I'm going to give you guys the synopsis for story number 4, since that's the only one that is canon. And actually, in regards to the actual first 4 books. David's Dragon, which is story number 4, set 1,000 years before the rise of the Dark Wizard Marin. It begins simply. A lonely boy in a small village befriends a dragon. What follows is a story of love and sacrifice, hope and heartbreak, and what it means to earn your place among the stars. And this story in particular, at the end, our main character, David, writes a letter. And as I was reading the letter, I cried. Like, actually sobbed. And I cried the first time that I read The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. So far, TJ Klune has written 2 stories that have made me cry. Obviously, that immediately bumped up Rain to a 5-star. Normally, I wouldn't even rate short story collections since they're so hard to rate anyways. But not only was the short story collection written by my favorite author, I cried at the last one. So I was like, yep, we're going to rate it. And I'll rate it 5 stars. I absolutely love the story. What can I say? I absolutely loved it. And of course, I will be continuing and reading whatever TJ Klune decides to pick out. Book number 3, which is the book that I didn't read this week and read, I think, the end of October, is actually, funny enough, another TJ Klune book. So this is Into This River I Drown by TJ Klune. And of course, I gave it 5 stars. So the synopsis of the story, it follows our main character, Benji Green, who lives every day struggling to keep his head above water, working at his father's old gas station convenience store. He has his mother and his 3 aunts live very close to him in their own house, and one of the aunts has Down syndrome. He has a father who's named Big Eddie, and Big Eddie drowned when his truck crashed into the river. So that's how Benji Green has been struggling to keep his head above water. It's introduced right at the very beginning in the story. They live in Roseland, Oregon, and in this story, the impossible happens. A man falls from the sky and leaves the burning imprint of wings on the ground. He begins to understand that the world around him is more mysterious than he could have possibly imagined. Forces beyond anyone's control are descending on Rosalind, revealing long-hidden truths about friends, family, and a man named Kaliel, who Benji is finding he can no longer live without. Like Wolf Song, this is another paranormal male-male romance. As you can sort of tell from that synopsis of I Learned, you can sort of tell what type of paranormal romance it is. I would classify this story very, very close to Dean's Last Castiel fanfiction. This is what I would classify this story as, and you can easily pick that up as you read this. Not exact, but very, very close. And it's probably the reason why I actually really enjoyed it. Not even because of the author, but because of this. And this story also went in a direction I wasn't expecting. It's sort of a murder mystery. It heads in that direction. And I've never read a murder mystery story from TJ Klune. I've read murder mystery stories, and I've never read anyone or any from TJ Klune. And so to read a murder mystery story from him was very interesting, and I hope he does it again. Because I'm not really a thriller person when it comes to my books. I really typically don't reach for thrillers, but murder mysteries I really like. I don't know why. I think it's because I like to watch all those crime procedural dramas on TV, like Bones, NCIS, Criminal Minds, stuff like that, which are murder mystery thrillers. So to read a book that is of that range from TJ Klune is very cool. It resolves the way I was expecting it to, but adds a little bit of an extra little hope at the end that TJ Klune could easily come back to these characters, which is what I really like. And so far, of all his books that I've read, he's written them in a way where the story resolves, if it's the last book, or a standalone is in this case. But he also leaves that little bit extra room where he could easily return to these characters again. Easily. And if he did, I would be very happy, and of course I would continue. As we have learned this year that TJ Klune is my all-time favorite author, and I will plug his books whenever I can. Those are all the books that I have read. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you did, please give it a like and subscribe for more bookish content from me. Down below in the description box, you'll find the links to all my bookish social media accounts. Comment down below what you guys managed to read the week of November 13th through 19th. And remember, we are the one within the all.